The classroom was silent, except for the faint hum of the science lab equipment. It should have been an ordinary afternoon in Lincoln High School, students gathered around microscopes, scribbling notes and sharing whispers. But then it happened, in an instant that would change everything. A 17-year-old bully, known for his arrogance and unchecked rage, grabbed his teacher by the throat. The world froze. His classmates gasped in horror, the glass beakers rattled against the table, and fear spread across every young face. Nobody dared move, nobody dared breathe. For years, he had intimidated other students, teachers, and even staff. But this time, he had crossed a line he never imagined could destroy his future. Because the woman he had underestimated, Ms. Evelyn Carter, was not just a teacher. She was a decorated veteran with a military past that no one in that classroom could ever have imagined. And in the next few seconds, the bully would learn that power. Real power doesn't come from intimidation. It comes from discipline, sacrifice, and courage. Miss Carter had only been at Lincoln High for 2 years. To her students, she was strict but fair, someone who demanded respect but never humiliated anyone. Her short, cropped hair, firm posture, and calm voice hinted at a past of discipline. But no one knew much. She rarely spoke of her life before teaching. All they saw was a science teacher who wore practical clothes and walked with the kind of steady confidence that made people pay attention. 17-year-old Jason Miller had always hated her. He was the kind of student who thrived on chaos. His father was wealthy and absent, his mother disengaged, and his arrogance unchecked. He had bullied smaller boys, ridiculed shy girls, and used fear as his only language. Teachers dreaded having him in class. But Miss Carter, she didn't flinch around him. That infuriated him more than anything. On that fateful day in the lab, Jason's prank had gone too far. He deliberately knocked over a tray of chemicals, endangering other students. Miss Carter confronted him calmly, telling him to stay behind after class. His pride couldn't take it. His friends laughed nervously as he snapped, "You think you can boss me around?
You're just a teacher."
And before anyone could react, he lunged across the desk, his hand gripping her throat. The room was charged with fear. Students froze. Some wanted to scream, but their voices died in their throats. But Miss Carter, she didn't panic. In fact, her eyes narrowed with a cold, almost terrifying calmness. She moved with precision. In one swift motion, she broke his grip, twisted his wrist, and pinned him face down against the lab counter. The entire class gasped as the bully, who had tormented them for years, suddenly cried out in shock and pain. She didn't hurt him beyond control, but her stance, her grip, and the authority in her presence revealed a truth none of them had known. This wasn't her first fight. "Sit down," she commanded. Her voice was low, steady, and full of authority. Jason's friends, who had thought they would cheer him on, instantly fell silent. No one dared move. That night, the story spread across the school like wildfire. Students whispered about what had happened. Some were shocked, others were thrilled. For once, the invincible Jason Miller had been put in his place. But the bigger question everyone asked was, who really is Miss Carter? The truth came out slowly. A veteran who had served 2 tours overseas, she had once been part of a special operations unit. She had seen combat, endured hardships, and returned home to start fresh. She never bragged about it, never used it as a shield. She had chosen teaching because she wanted to rebuild her life in peace, guiding young minds instead of facing gunfire. But when Jason grabbed her throat, she wasn't just a teacher anymore, she was a soldier again. The following weeks were tense. Jason's parents, furious and embarrassed, threatened lawsuits. They painted him as the victim, claiming the teacher had assaulted their child. But as witnesses stepped forward, the students who had watched everything unfold, the teachers who had endured years of Jason's aggression, the truth became undeniable. The school board sided with Miss Carter. Jason's world unraveled. His arrogance, once protected by money and privilege, had been shattered. His classmates no longer feared him, they pitied him. And for the first time, he was forced to face consequences. Community service, mandatory counseling, probation. His future took a turn he never expected. But Miss Carter's challenge was different. The ordeal had dragged her past into the spotlight, something she had always kept hidden. Students now looked at her with awe, some even with fear. She struggled with whether she had done the right thing. She hadn't wanted to expose her military past, she simply wanted to teach. Yet deep inside, she knew that sometimes destiny forces you to reveal who you are, not for yourself, but for others. The turning point came one afternoon when a quiet boy named Ethan approached her after class. He had been one of Jason's victims, often shoved into lockers and locked for his stutter. With tears in his eyes, he said, "Ms. Carter, thank you. You're the first person who ever made me feel safe here." Those words broke her. She realized then that her military past wasn't a burden. It was a gift. Her strength, her discipline, her courage, they could inspire these kids to stand tall against fear. Months passed. Jason began to change too. At first he resisted, blaming everyone but himself. But the humiliation of being overpowered by the teacher he mocked most haunted him. Counseling sessions forced him to confront the anger and loneliness he had buried for years. Slowly, painfully, he learned humility. By the end of the year, something remarkable happened. Jason, once the bully of Lincoln High, stood before his classmates at an assembly. He admitted his mistakes, apologized to those he had hurt, and acknowledged Miss Carter's role in forcing him to change. His future wasn't destroyed. It was reshaped. He would never be the same arrogant boy again. The story of Miss Carter and Jason became more than just a classroom incident. It became a lesson for the entire school, a symbol that strength doesn't come from fear or intimidation. It comes from respect, discipline, and the courage to protect others. And Miss Carter, though still reluctant to talk about her military days, accepted that her past had meaning. She wasn't just shaping minds in the classroom. She was saving futures, one student at a time. This story reminds us that no matter what battles we've fought in the past, our experiences can become a shield for others in the present. Ms. Carter didn't just stop a bully, she transformed a life. And Jason learned that mistakes, no matter how grave, can become stepping stones if we have the courage to change. If this story touched your heart, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had a teacher, mentor, or guide who stood up for you in a powerful way? Share your experiences. I'd love to hear them. And if you believe stories like this can inspire change, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to my channel. Be kind always, for more powerful, emotional, and life-changing stories. Because at the end of the day, kindness and courage are what truly shape the future.